We start with the breaking news at this hour as Israel has carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear program. The IDF has said with blasts heard in Tehran. The strikes were part of Operation Rising Lion, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, adding Iran was a threat to Israel's very survival. Israel has declared a state of emergency, saying the country expected retaliation. Well, joining me live are our Middle East correspondent, Hugo Bashega in Jerusalem, our senior reporter, Bern de Boosman at the White House, and our State Department correspondent, Tom Bateman. Hugo, I'll come to you first. Tell us more about what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying about these strikes.
Yes, Steve. So it is just after 5 o'clock in the morning here. So this campaign by the Israeli military was announced 2 hours ago by the Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz. This has been described as a preemptive, precise, combined offensive based on high-quality intelligence. Dozens of targets have been hit across Iran, striking long-range missiles and targets related to the country's nuclear program. So for a very long time, Israel and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has described Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat, and we're seeing now a large-scale attack by the Israeli military. Now, there has been a statement by the Israeli military's chief of staff saying that the time had come. We have reached the point of no return. So it is very interesting that the way events unfolded this week. There was a phone call between the Prime Minister and President Trump on Monday. There was a leak of this phone conversation, perhaps not by accident, saying that the President was against any kind of Israeli military action against Iran, while these negotiations for a deal between American and Iranian officials continued. There was a round of talks expected to take place on Sunday, and now these attacks happening. Now, we're seeing reports as well in Israeli media saying that apart from the airstrikes targeting those facilities connected to Iran's nuclear program, there have been assassinations, and the targets include the chief of the Iranian military, senior military officials, and senior nuclear scientists. So a large-scale attack that has been carried out by Israel. A state of emergency has been declared here in Israel. A phone alert was sent to everybody in this country about 2 hours ago. Schools are going to be closed today. Gatherings have been banned. The airport, Ben Gurion Airport, is also closed. So the country, is expecting a retaliation from Iran. The defense minister said people should expect a missile and drone attack in response to the attacks that we're seeing today.
Yeah, we'll ask you about those, the preparedness of Israel in just a moment. But just to come back onto the targets and the focus of Israel's attacks in Iran's nuclear program, was this something that was telegraphed or was known that this was perhaps coming?
Yeah, we saw that in the last few days there had been a number of reports suggesting that Israel was making preparations for a large-scale attack targeting facilities connected to Iran's nuclear program. And for quite some time, Israeli officials had been saying that they saw a window of opportunity to attack because last year, Iran's air defense capabilities were degraded after a number of Israeli airstrikes. Also, Iranian proxies in the region have been significantly weakened after action by Israel, in particular Hezbollah in Lebanon. There had been the concern in Israel that any kind of military action against Iran's nuclear program could spark a reaction from Hezbollah in Lebanon, the militia that is supported by Iran, heavily armed. We know that, Hezbollah has been significantly degraded after more than a year of conflict with Israel. So the Israeli authorities saw that an opportunity here, and what we're seeing today, is that Israeli officials are saying that there was the opportunity here to strike, that Iran was advancing with its nuclear program. Again, for a very long time, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, had been saying that he saw the Iranian nuclear program as an existential threat. The Iranians had been saying also for a a very long time that, their nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, but now we're seeing this large-scale Israeli attack targeting dozens of locations across Iran, military facilities, military assets connected to Iran's nuclear program.
Hugo, you mentioned that Israel's defense minister confirmed the strikes and declared that state of emergency, also saying that counterattacks were expected in the immediate future. What kind of preparedness is Israel doing to ensure that its people will be safe?
Yeah, it is very interesting also that the Israeli authorities are suggesting that this is just the beginning of what could be, a large-scale offensive over many days. The Israeli authorities were describing it as the first stage of this military offensive against Iran. Now, this is obviously a country with very strict security measures. Israel, there have been, security measures in place for quite some time, especially after October the 7th, the Hamas attacks in southern Israel. So this is a country where the population is, prepared for the possibility of attacks. A number of measures, have been announced, especially this morning. Again, there has been a ban on gatherings. Schools are going to be closed today. Hospitals have also announced a number of measures across the country. The airspace has been closed in Israel. The main international airport has also been closed. So a number of measures have been introduced now by the Israeli authorities as part of this state of emergency that has been declared after these attacks, Israeli attacks targeting a number of facilities across Iran.
Hugo, just to come back to that recent line of a news update that you gave us, Iranian state media, they've been reporting that the Iran Revolutionary Guard's chief, Hossein Salami, has been killed in an Israeli strike. He's among several senior leaders who have died. Tell us a bit more about the significance of Israel with regards to who they're targeting.
Yeah, so it is very interesting that we're seeing that dozens of targets, military targets, have been hit across the country, but also a number of high-profile assassinations also already have been confirmed by in Iran by state media in the country. So it seems again that these are the indications of a really well-planned, large-scale attack, Israeli attack targeting Iran, nuclear scientists and top military commanders. And we saw again that the authorities in Israel said that those dozens of locations hit included facilities with long-range missiles and targets linked to the country's nuclear program. So again, for quite some time, Israel had been warning, the international community about the threats posed by Iran's nuclear program, Iran's nuclear ambitions. A military official in Israel, speaking right after the confirmation of these attacks, came from the defense minister, said that Iran had enough nuclear material to create 15 nuclear bombs within days, and that Iran was advancing secret attempts to assemble those weapons, and that could happen within in a very short period of time. So again, the Israeli authorities saying that Iran had been advancing this nuclear program, dismissing the Iranian position that its nuclear program was for peaceful purposes. And again, remember, there was a deal that had been struck with Iran by the international community during the Obama administration. President Trump, in his first term, pulled out from the deal. Ever since he came back to office earlier this year, he, led these efforts to try to negotiate a new deal with Iran. What we've seen in recent weeks was that, a number of American officials were saying that Iran wasn't making concessions in these negotiations, and that some of Iran's demands in those talks were considered to be unacceptable by the Americans, and that was the position in Israel as well. The authorities were saying that they would go ahead with, a military attack, with some kind of military action against Iran if they considered the terms of any kind of deal to be unacceptable for Israel. So during, in the past few days, we saw a number of measures that were announced, in particular by the Trump administration, including the evacuation of the embassy in Iraq, because there is the